So, Ben Olsen, head coach of the Houston Dynamo, was trending this week. And there was an article written by MLS.com, and there is also an article written by the Washington Post, but that's a paywall, so I didn't read that. And as a matter of fact, he wasn't really trending, but there's just two articles about Ben Olsen that have stood out the most to me about him this week. But the main one was the one written by MLS.com because there's no paywall. So that can easily be read. And the message that I got from that is Ben Olsen asked about redemption. What kind of redemption? You see, Ben Olsen believes that he doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. He also believes that he doesn't have to work or to fight to earn his respect in Major League Soccer. Based on the MLSsoccer.com article, Ben Olsen just views himself as just another coach who's working hard, and he haven't done anything wrong. The latter is true. I don't think Ben Olsen did anything wrong. And quite honestly, I've never known much about Ben Olsen until he was hired by Houston Dynamo. And when people were criticizing him or criticizing Houston Dynamo's ownership for hiring him, I wasn't among those group of people because I never heard of Ben Olsen until he was hired by Houston Dynamo. So Ben Olsen, you believe that you don't have anything to prove to anybody. But let me talk about perception versus reality. You see, the reality in your eyes, Ben Olsen, is that yes, you deserve to be a coach. But the perception is that you do not deserve to be a coach. And even though perception is not reality, perception affects reality. Example number one, Greg Berhalter. Reality says Greg Berhalter of the U.S. men's soccer team, is a respectable, decent coach. That's reality based on his experience and amount of work and time that he put in. But the perception is that he's not a good coach. Why? Social media. That's why. You see, Ben Olsen, you have to understand that this sports world that we're all living in, whether you're a player, coach, fan, spectator, this new sports world that we're living in, you can't ignore social media algorithms. The reason why a lot of people view Greg Berhalter as a bad coach is because of the social media algorithms. Now, how has the algorithm generated a perception that Berhalter is a bad coach? There are people who are constantly just dragging his name, saying bad things about him, discrediting him, every little thing that they can find to say that he's a bad coach, any form of issue that proves their opinion, they promote it. And the thing about the social media algorithm that you have to understand, Ben Olsen, is that when people or just post in general constantly promote a negative image of that person, the algorithm will promote it. And it's the same vice versa. When there's a large group of people posting positive things about a person, the algorithm will promote that also. You see, the algorithm promotes popularity. So if a large group of people are posting negative things about a coach, the algorithm will promote that. And because a lot of people, at least these past 4 or 5 years, they have been just posting just negative things about Greg Berhalter, the algorithm has promoted that. And now the perception for a lot of people who don't watch the U.S. men's national team, when they think about Berhalter in general, it's automatically a negative perception that he cannot coach because the algorithm has promoted negativity based on people constantly posting negative things about Berhalter. There is no doubt in my mind that that foolish scandal that took place with Berhalter a couple months ago, there's no doubt in my mind that would not have gone on if the algorithm didn't promote negativity about Berhalter. Now, who controls the algorithm? It's the people. The people are the ones that controls the algorithm. The algorithm promotes popularity. So if people are constantly posting negative narratives about a person, the algorithm will promote that. And it's the same vice versa. If people constantly post positive things about a person, the algorithm will promote that. The algorithm generates based on popularity. Whatever is popular, that is what the algorithm will promote. So the perception before you taking over Houston was that you were a bad coach. DC United struggled under you. That's what a lot of people were saying in the social media world. But thankfully for you, Ben Olsen, because Houston Dynamo and MLS is not as popular as the national soccer team, the algorithm didn't take hold of that negative perception of you and promote that. However, the perception is still there that you're not really a good coach. Now, I don't know what happened during your time at DC United because I wasn't watching soccer in the 2010 decade. And before the 2010 decade, the only time I heard about soccer was an ESPN Freddie Adu promotion. And I think that was either in 2002 or 2003. So before 2021, the only time I thought about MLS was when was that one ESPN segment where they promoted Freddie Adu, and they said Freddie Adu is going to be the next great, not only the next great soccer player, but he's going to be the next great American sports athlete of the millennial generation. Millennial Gen X generation, one of those generations, whatever generation Freddie Adu is part of. So I don't know what happened during your time at DC United. The only thing I know is before you took over Houston, a lot of people were saying that you are a bad coach. Now, that perception is dying off because of your US Open Cup win over Lionel Messi. And winning is how you kill negative perceptions. And when I say winning, I'm not talking about just a regular season winning streak. I'm talking about winning trophies, being a champion at something. And you winning the US Open Cup over Lionel Messi, that negative perception of you being a bad coach have started to die. And like I said earlier, because your team in MLS is not as popular as the national soccer team, the algorithm didn't pick it up because the algorithm generates based on popularity. So because you are winning now, you have the opportunity to affect the algorithm in a positive way. Because now that you're winning, people are starting to get to know you. When I say people are getting to know you, those who didn't know much about you, people like me, who wasn't watching soccer before the 2020 decade. People like me are saying like, what was so bad about him at DC United? Why was there so much animosity among Houston fans and just soccer fans in general when Houston Dynamo announced that Ben Olsen is the new guy? Well, where's the animosity coming from? Because I'm seeing a team that's aggressive. I'm seeing a group of players that love their coach. I have not heard any Houston player complain about playing any games compared to the defending national champion, LAFC. I've not heard any Houston player complain about playing any games. I've not heard any Houston player complain about being tired and needing rest. I haven't heard any of that. Just nothing but positive vibes from the Houston Dynamo. And that's the kind of good perception that you can turn into reality. Because remember, Ben Olsen, perception is not reality, but perception affects reality. And it's not only negative perception that affects reality, but it's also positive perception that affects reality. Ben Olsen, let me give you another example of how perception affects reality. The Michael Jordan, LeBron James, the GOAT debate. This is just going to be a debate that all of us are just going to keep talking about and keep hearing for the rest of our lives. Unless you just stop following sports, then you won't hear about it anymore. But if you're in the sports world, player, fan, coach, booster, supporter, spectator, whatever, this is a debate that we're all going to keep hearing for the rest of our lives, whether we like it or not. But do you want to know why this debate is never going to die? Because reality says that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. He's bigger. He's faster. He's stronger. He's more durable. He's more athletic. He may not be as skillful as Jordan when it comes to dribbling and shooting. Well, you take LeBron's overall attributes and you compare it to Michael Jordan's overall attributes, LeBron James is the better player, and that's what reality says. But perception says that LeBron is not better than Michael Jordan. Why is that? Well, the argument is Michael Jordan played in a tougher league at the time. The guys were mentally tougher. The guys loved basketball. The guys did not put fame and women and sex and just overall popularity over the game of basketball. Now, that's not to say every single player was like that, but in general, majority of the players truly wanted to be good. They loved basketball more than anything else. You didn't have guys taking nights off because of religious beliefs or socio-economic beliefs or political partisanships. You didn't have guys taking nights off because they didn't like the coach or they didn't want to be around their teammates. Guys put basketball above their egos, and the rules were different. A little tap on the arm wasn't a foul. So the perception is because Michael Jordan played in a tougher NBA during his time, and for him to play at a high level in the midst of the game being tougher during that time, he is still the GOAT. And that's the perception that has affected the reality. That's causing many old people to this day, they will die with that belief that Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. And there is nothing that anybody can do to change their mind. It doesn't matter how many debates that young people have with older people at the Thanksgiving barbecue, the Christmas barbecue, New Year's Eve parties. It doesn't matter how many debates that you see old and young people have. Old people are not changing their mind on that. It doesn't matter how many more years LeBron James play. It doesn't matter how many more rings LeBron James get. It doesn't matter if he leads in every statistical category in NBA history. Old people, boomers, and probably like 75% of the Gen X's, they will die believing that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And Michael Jordan is aware of that perception, which is why he sends his friend Stephen A. Smith text messages every now and then telling him what to say on his show to promote the Jordan image, to promote that, to keep that perception alive. So Ben Olsen, whenever you step on that field, you need to keep perception versus reality on your mind. And you got to remember, perception does affect reality. So you said redeem from what? What are you redeeming yourself for? What? You're redeeming yourself against the perception that you're not a respectable coach. We all know you're a good coach by now. We know. But that perception is still alive among many, which is why Houston Dynamo hasn't been a sellout, a crowd sellout at any of your playoff games yet, because that perception is still alive. Your job this decade, Ben Olsen, is to kill that negative perception. that you can't coach. It's to kill that negative perception that you can't win any more championships. See, some people are saying, oh, that win in the U.S. Open Cup, that was just the U.S. Open Cup. And Miami, they just came off of a Leagues Cup championship. So they didn't really take that U.S. Open Cup championship. So they gave Messi a pass. So now you got to go get an MLS Cup title. You got to get through Kansas City. And then either Seattle or LAFC to the MLS Cup title match. And then against one of the Eastern Conference foes in their house, Ben Olsen. Because the four remaining, we all know that the four remaining Eastern clubs in the playoffs, they have higher rankings in the Supporter Shield standing. You got the U.S. Open Cup, but people, they gave Messi a pass for losing that. So they say you're a lucky Ben Olsen. So now you just got to keep winning championships. You got to keep getting trophies. The more trophies you get, the more the negative perception dies. You kill the negative perception by winning championships, Ben Olsen. So you say, what am I redeeming myself for? You're redeeming yourself. You're proving that you are a respectable coach that deserves that Houston job. Because a lot of people believe that you don't deserve that Houston job. So whenever you step on that field, Ben Olsen, you got to keep that in mind. And I see the fire in you. I know I know you're aware of the negative perception because I see the fire in your veins, the passion that you coach with. You got a U.S. Open Cup now? Now it's time to go get that MLS Cup title. The more championships you win, the more the negative perception dies, Ben Olsen. You are redeeming yourself to prove that you are a respectable coach. That's what you're redeeming yourself for. Because whatever happened at DC United, a lot of people believe you don't deserve it.
Welcome to H-Town. Yeah. Welcome to H-Town.
Shout to the old H-Town.
Whoa.
Shout to North Side. Shout to South Side. Shout to Southwest.
But
Northeast, Northwest.
What does it really mean? Cup
Shout to the
full
East
of
Side,
lean, got a
Southeast.
sweet full of green.
Third
Wake
Ward,
up,
Fifth Ward.
boy, this ain't a dream.
Trade.
Welcome to H-Town.
Fell in love with a Hershey Road at my auntie highs. Dipping with my kinfolk, thin spoke, poking eye, candy paint. Sexy as we tip up under city lights. Got them boys plexing, baby, every time we pimp the ride. Gripping wood grain, always sipping good, man. We was dying for whatever, wish somebody would, man. Enticing with them vices, yeah, man. Looking pretty like a bag.